Okay, today we're going to remove the battery from this 2017 Camaro. This is an LT, but I believe most of them are set up the same way. I've already got the panels pulled back. Just be careful with the panels as you remove them, and don't be surprised if you have to replace some of the clips. But removing the panels to access the battery, which is in your passenger side rear quarter, you need to take off the center panel. There's 4 nuts, very self-explanatory with studs, just plastic. They should be just hand tight. Take those off, then try to pull up on this panel. It's already and it unsnaps. You need to unsnap the top of the panel. Then it pulls off easily. You set that to the side, and then this panel slowly, it's just cardboard unfortunately, and you already took out this bottom panel. Has this tray, covers all your safety tire inflator stuff on the bottom. This needs to come out, of course, to be able to pull this back to have access to your battery. So I'll show maybe more of that putting it back together, but that's the basic you have to take out the bottom tray, take out the center, and then you can pull this back. There's usually some clips that hold this in place. They're plastic and they're very cheesy, so be prepared to break some and possibly replace them if you're concerned about holding this in the perfect place. Otherwise, it really, once you put everything back together, it really isn't that big a deal. But if you're a perfectionist, you're going to want those clips back in this cover here after you've reinstalled everything. So that's the basics of the clips. But before you disconnect the battery, I like to remove the bracket that holds down the battery, and you have 2 bolts, 13 millimeter I believe, one on the front and one on the back side towards the bottom of the battery. And you can see I've got them ready to go. One here, one over here. So I pull those out, put them in a safe place, and then you've got a hose here that's got to be relocated out of your way. That just gently comes off of there, off of that bracket, and that's a vent for the battery. So we'll just disconnect that hose and just trail it to the breather on the battery. Disconnect that, pull that out of your way, back out of your way. No big deal where it is if you have to remove it completely. And then you have the bracket loose and ready for the battery to come out. And I don't believe you can remove the bracket completely until the cables are off of the battery. So we'll remove the cables next. You have 2 10 millimeter battery nuts, one here and one over here. We're going to do the ground first. One here and one over here. We're going to do the ground first. We got to find the right. It's going to take a deep socket because of the length of the stud. Make sure we got the right one here. I try to use the small 1/4 inch drive stuff. It gets in there a little bit better. Just be careful not to ever, get too close to the positive terminal. None of this stuff has to be overly super tight. Take off the right one here. Yeah, it's just a little nut. I think it just needs to be loosened, and then pop that off. Move that to the side. Now that's the ground, so that if it touches the body of the car, that's okay. Just gently move your wires out of the way. Sometimes you need to tie some of this stuff back, but if you can find something to hook it on like that, then it's out of the way. Now you got the positive terminal, and that one you got to be more careful of, because if you touch a ground point, that's going to be a bigger problem. So the nut loose for the positive now, and we can take this whole positive wiring harness back like this, very gently, and that needs to be held back out of the way. If you have an extra hand like I do, somebody else can hold that back for you. Now you can get the hold down bracket removed, carefully lift off, and make sure it clears the positive. Hold this back, get that out of your way. Watch out you don't scratch the car. Set that off to the side. And I believe you're ready to remove the battery, which unfortunately is heavy and underneath the overhang of the fender. So all your stuff has to be held back. And they have two hold downs right here that those bolts went into for the bottom hold down. Those need to be moved off to the side. Don't lose those. They're self-explanatory as to, I think they're pretty much universal, as if they get flipped over. That's it holds the edge of the battery. You can line those up. There's another plastic piece here that we'll have to reinstall. Now the battery catches in the front. There's a hook built into the car, so you need to slide the battery somewhat back so you have clearance, because it catches the edge bottom lip of the battery, and then it's a matter of bullying the thing out of there. So, and then you can pull it. You can see it's ready to come out now, and I'm gonna need an extra hand, so we're gonna just want you to see it's clear now. So we got the battery out on the workbench, ready to hook up to the battery tender for the rest of the winter. And just a better visual here for you guys, since out of the car, I put the bracket back on the battery, and showing how this is assembled here. This is the battery hold down, holds it down, bolts it to the battery car chassis, Camaro. This is for 2017 Camaro, just a reminder. And we have the one bolt. We've got a spacer here that helps hold the battery in place. So it goes through this spacer, that goes through there, goes through the battery bracket hold down, and then we have your typical other hold down here with these are all plastic, with the edge there that grabs the corner of the battery edge, and that all goes together through the holes, which just takes a little time when it's in the car, and then into the Camaro chassis. And the same thing applies. That same unit is duplicated in the back bracket over here. That all goes just like so, bolt, and just like that for the back. So it's just a little easier to see out of the car how that works. Once you understand how it lines up and what it's doing, it's pretty self-explanatory. But when you're taking that bracket off, this hold down bracket off that battery, just make sure you lift it away from those positive terminals. And if you have to throw a rag over the top, that's a good trick.